Hi, I'm Callum from Tyne Valley Motorhomes, and this is the handover video of the Burstner Ixeo 728. So to operate your LPG, on this model it's been fitted, or should I say this vehicle, which is a not standard, it's been fitted with a gasset refillable bottle. So this means you can go to local stations that sell LPG on the pump and fill your bottle, which is great if you're going on the continent because they're near enough at every station. It tells you the gauge on the front, and you open and close the cylinder at the top there, here. So just make sure that it's always turned off before you travel, and it's always strapped in so it's nice and safe and secure for you and other road users. When you want to fill it though, the filling point is here. So it connects, twists on, you pull the trigger back, and then you press and hold the button on the display of the pump until it is full. Next to it you do have your external gas point, so it's a bullfinch connection. Put your big red end here, turn it, connect that to some gas hose with some Jubilee clips and connect the other end to your Cadillac. You can use an egg outside cooking for your barbecue, and it will use the bottle on board the vehicle instead of carrying a spare. So to use your cassette toilet, unlock the cassette, push the button in, drop the door. Lift the handle, releases the cassette. Then you want to pull the spout out and unscrew the cap. The cap is a measuring stick, but you take the cap off. Empty the cassette, and as you're emptying, press the button here. Once you've pressed the button, it allows a bit of air and gives it a consistent flow. Once it's empty, put some water in, give it a rinse, tip out again, and then the cap, the grey cap's 120 ml. So this is a cap full of chemical into here, and it's good to go. If you're using the liquid, it's a cap full. If you're using the tablets, it's a pint of water into the cassette, which you can pop in by flushing a pint of water down the toilet, and then drop a tablet, which is in a cellophane wrapper, straight down into the cassette, and it will break down into the liquid. On this model, with it being the 728G, you get your large garage space, which has got your on and winding handle in there. It's got tethering rails. Someone's added two 230-volt sockets in there with USBs for charging if you've got electric bikes or you want to charge anything in the garage. But you do benefit from a large garage with a full-size spare wheel tied down on the other side. To drain off your dirty wastewater on this vehicle, using this black metal key, pop it onto the edge here and turn. You'll be able to open and unlock your wastewater. So that's open there now. You'd lock it going the other way. But make sure you drop your wastewater at your site before you start driving, because you're just going to be driving around with added weight of dirty water, which is not necessary. It's going to eat up weight in your payload and use more consumption on the engine. So get rid of this at your site on the designated point before driving, and always ensure that's left open when you drive to rock any loose water out of the tank. In the winter, again, make sure that this is fully drained off and left open to avoid the water from freezing in this tank. In the locker here, you've got a varied selection of appliance points and drain off valves. But the first thing you've got is your mains hookup. So you want to remove the collar and expose the connection like so. Pop it in here. Always connect the vehicle before you can make the wire live on the other end, whether that's connecting to a site or connecting to your outside point on your driveway. You've got your fresh water filler here, so you put your hose in there and fill until it was full, or you look on your control panel and think that's enough water. So it's 120 litres of fresh water in the freshwater tank. You can take this cap off here if you want to get in and clean the tank. And then here you do have, so just before we get into here, just up here, this is your drain down valve for your freshwater tank. So turn it 3/4 of the way and you will drain off everything bar 20 litres, so you get 100 litres out of the tank if it's full. And that's better for travelling because it's better on fuel, it's better on weight, and you're not lugging around 120 kilograms of water, unless you're really necessary if you're going wild camping. However, if you open it all the way, you'll be able to drain it all off, and that's what you would do if you've taken on a source of contaminated water or you drain it down for the winter. So when you're leaving it stood in the winter, ensure all the water is out of the van so nothing can freeze, including these 2 points here. So you've got your boiler drain, which is this black box with the blue diamond and the button on here. This will automatically open at 6 degrees or less. Turn it if you want to manually open it. The button will pop out and you'll see the water draining. That is the 10 litres of water stored in the boiler. You want to ensure that this is drained off in the winter to avoid it freezing, because if it did freeze and you haven't drained it down, unfortunately you're liable for the cost of repairing the boiler because it's not covered under the warranty. So what I'd like to do is manually open it and ensure that it's drained down. When you come to reuse it, turn the diamond, push the button in at the bottom. If the button at the bottom doesn't stay in, just put the heating on first for 10 to 20 minutes. Heats the area up and then you'll be able to push the button in. But ensure the button's pushed in, otherwise you've left the circuit open and the water will just drain out directly underneath the van. Here you've got your hot water line drain, so that needs to be lifted up, and that will allow the water that's in any pipework within the van out, which is fed to your hot sides of the tap. Filling the van with diesel can be found at the passenger door. Lockable cap with the main key, so use the main key to release the cap and then you can fill with fuel. And then tyre pressures are here, so 5.5 bar, 79.5 psi. On this vehicle, underneath here is where your electric block unit is, so you've got all your fuses for your 12 volt appliance, so carry some spare fuses within the van. If something isn't working on 12 volt, check the fuses, which are all underneath the passenger seat. Engine batteries underneath the floor, so if you need to get the battery out, you need to remove the floor panel. This lifts out, but your bonnet release is here, and then you do have a jump starting point underneath the bonnet. So your jump starting points are here for your negative and here for your positive. And then you've got your other fluids such as your oil and your oil filler, or your oil filler and your oil dipstick. Your brake fluid, 3 tabs lift this part of the scuttle off, and you've got your coolant, power steering fluid, and the main one you're going to need, which is your screen wash. To operate your 12 volt control panel, when you come in the van, if you're hooked up, you'll get this icon here which illuminates in the centre of the panel, which says that you're hooked up to mains 230 volt. If you don't have that, it just means you're getting 12 volt off your leisure battery. You can turn on your master switch here, and then the buttons above and below it are your battery levels. So you've got your vehicle and you've got your leisure. So battery at the back, leisure battery, battery at the front, van battery. Always unhook the batteries. So unhook the hookup lead, should I say, to get a true reflection of the batteries, because when the batteries are hooked up and the charger's involved, it'll give you a false reading. So make sure the vehicle's unhooked when you're reading the batteries. This one's your waste water, so this is your dirty water. This is your pump, which needs to be on should you have sufficient water on board. If you've got no water on board, don't put your pump on. And then this one is your fresh water reading. So there you can see we've got about 35% of fresh water on board. To operate your heating and hot water system, which is through Truma, so this is your Truma digital control panel, using the toggle in the centre of the screen here, you would press enter, and you'll notice flashing you've got a van with a thermometer in. This is the room temperature of the vehicle. So if you press enter again, you can have it all the way to off. Selecting your temperature, it goes to the highest point of 30 degrees. And then once you're happy, you need to confirm this by pressing the toggle in. So that has set your room temperature. Next, we've got your hot water. So you've got a thermometer in some water, making sure that you do have water in the boiler first. If you don't, then you need to have this set to off. And then should you have water in, you can either use the Ixeo setting, which is 40 degrees of heating the 10 litres in the boiler, 60 degrees of heating the 10 litres of water in the boiler, or Boost, which is a half an hour function and turns the heating off and puts all the heat to the water. So prioritises the hot water. But for this, we'll just say hot, and again, you would press enter. Now you've got which energy source you're on. So you've got a gas bottle and some electricity symbols there. So depending on what energy source you have available to you will determine what you use. So first it'll show you gas, which you'd use if you're wild camping and weren't hooked up. You'd have to use your gas to heat your water and your vehicle. You've then got mixture 1, which is 750 watts of electric and gas. Mix 2, which is 1850 watts of mains electric power and gas. You'd use this in the winter to get the vehicle up to temperature for the first 20 minutes or so. And then you want to knock it off because you don't want to waste your gas if you've paid for electric. And then you've got EL1, which is 750 watts of electric. You may have to use this on smaller CL sites or abroad as they're not as generous with their power. And then going back in, you've got EL2, which is 1850 watts of electric. So we're hooked up now, that's a 16 amp feed. We'll just press EL2 and that will heat the vehicle and the hot water. In the top right hand corner, you do have the fan speed. So you've got Ixeo high or boost. Ixeo is a little bit quieter. It is just a 12 volt fan. So if you're away and you're wild camping, you want to use Ixeo because it doesn't use as much 12 volt. You've got high, which will obviously use all of the fan speed to circulate the heat around the various parts of the vehicle. And then you've got boost, which again is the highest setting it will go to, and it will blow the heat around the ducts in the various parts of the van. But for this we'll just say Ixeo because high can sometimes be a little bit noisy. If you're going to sleep, I would recommend putting it onto Ixeo because it's a little bit more quieter and it's a bit more livable. Everything above the line here flashing means that it's selecting it's on. So it's showing that your gas flame means that your room temperature is selected, your heating's on, your hot water's on, you're on 2 kilowatts of electric, EL2, 1850 watts, because you've got two electricity symbols lit up, and your fan's on Ixeo as you have one fin on the fan speed lit up as well. At the bottom, you've got a timer, so you can time it to come on and off just the once though. You've got the clock, so you can set the time to what it is on the display panel. So if you are timing it, it's in the right time. And then should you ever get a warning triangle, the best way to reset this is by going into the settings, going to reset, pressing enter, preset, press enter again, and it goes to a stage of initializing. That will completely turn off the control panel. Now nothing is on. You will have to go in again and reset your temperature, your hot water, your energy source and your fan speed again. In the kitchen on this model you do have a Dometic 3 burner gas hob. So once you've had the burners on, if you do, just allow them to cool down before you put the glass lid down, otherwise you may smash this glass if it's too hot when it's popped down. To operate your grill and oven, push in and turn and you've got your grill. Keep held in just for the thermocouple to get warm before releasing and it'll stay lit. And at the back you've got your oven. This just shows that your water system is working to the correct pressures, and the hot water there is getting up the temperature. Located in your cutlery drawer at the top here are your 4 gas isolation valves. However, any problems with gas, turn the bottle off to be safe, as you are isolating the main source of gas. These are mainly for when the vehicle is annually habitation serviced. But should you think a gas appliance is causing any issue, if you want to isolate one, all you need to do is turn it the other way. So these are all on, that is off. But it's best to isolate the bottle as you are shutting off the main source of gas. To operate the Dometic fridge, first of all, turn the fridge on. You've then got 3 sources, which I'll talk about first. So you've got a picture of the plug, which is mains 230 volt, which acts as a household fridge when hooked up to mains. You've got gas, which operates off your gas cylinder. That needs to be turned on, and you would use that if you were wild camping. If you're on a site, you would use the electric. And then when you're travelling, the fridge has to be down to temperature beforehand before using this function. But this is the battery mode, which is failing there now and beeping because the engine isn't running. The engine needs to be running to send a feed from the alternator to the fridge to keep it at the same temperature whilst travelling. Or you can press A, which stands for automatic energy selection, press and hold. Automatic function picks the best source available to the motorhome at any one time and always prioritises mains 230 volt. Once the mains is unhooked and the gas is open, it will switch over to gas via its self-selection on its own accord and light on gas. When you start the engine, it will switch over to battery, but please note when turn the engine off, from going from battery to gas, it does wait 20 minutes, and that's a safety feature in case you forgot to turn your gas cylinder off. So in this instance, all you need to do is manually override it and take it off the automatic function and put it onto gas manually. This side you've got your temperature, so 5 being the coldest. Turn it down to 3 or 4 once it's chilled before you put your shopping in. Otherwise 5 can sometimes cause ice within the freezer and fridge compartment. And then always make sure when you're not using the fridge it's turned off, you've emptied it, you've given it a clean out. And what you want to do is, it catches here, so you just want to rest the door upon that without shutting it with any force, and it allows air to circulate within the fridge compartment to stop the air being trapped and causing smell over time. To operate the drop-down bed, ensure that the key is turned on, and then on this control panel here you'll be able to press and hold. The bed comes down so far, and then it lifts the front up before allowing the bed to come down further. But ensure that your cab seats are pushed forward and spun around to get the bed down. So I'll turn them around now and I'll show you the bed coming down. Now you've turned the seats and we've dropped that table in, press and hold, and your bed comes down to its lowest position here. So that's your bed down. Ensure that when you put the bed back up, you take the pillows off. You can leave the duvet on, but a little top tip for when winterising the van in the winter, ensure that you drop the bed slightly so it doesn't allows circulation on top of the mattress and top of the skylight, so you don't get any staining with them touching, as condensation might build up on top of the mattress. And then once you finish with it, you'll be able to push the bed back up it goes so far. The front will start to tilt as it goes into the cab, and you'll be able to push the bed back up. So to operate this TV, this is a 230 volt TV, so you've got to be hooked up to mains to work this telly as it's a household LG TV. Every time you move site, you do need to retune the TV, and to do so you need to go into the settings, go into setup, and go for an auto tune. On antenna, next, start, and it'll do a automatic channel search, and it'll find as many channels as it can where the vehicle is located. But like I say, every time you move site you do have to do one of these searches because it picks up different waves for the TV reception. So located in the bottom of your wardrobe directly behind the fridge is your 230 consumer unit. So this is where your trip is. So if you've tripped the vehicle, try here before you try your main site, or if you are hooked up and you think you're not receiving power, the best way to check is by tripping the vehicle out. If the vehicle trips, you've got power. If it doesn't trip, you're not receiving power, so check where you're connected to.